everyone. I'm Geo.
And I'm Josie.
And welcome to the 9th episode of Games I Speak. So we have a lot to cover, so let me just jump right in. The first thing we're going to cover is all the unfortunate events surrounding the COVID-19.
Coronavirus is delaying everything.
Everything, including gaming.
Yes.
So that's why we're covering this. So first up, we have Capcom and Square Enix. They bowed out of PAX East this week.
Which is huge because honestly, Capcom and Square Enix both have some marketing to do for some big video games that are coming out. Resident Evil 3 for Capcom and Final Fantasy VII Remake for Square Enix.
Yeah, and those are two of the biggest titles this year. So for them to do that, I mean, they're just trying to play it safe here.
Yes, which is good.
It's good, yeah. Next up, Kojima. He was actually one of the first ones to drop that I saw this week to drop out of GDC.
Oh, okay.
So again,
don't risk it.
Don't risk it. Don't risk it. Then we have so this one is actually pretty big because it's not just surrounding game like PAX or GDC. Basically, Capcom Pro Tour is dropping out of Brussels Challenge 2020, NorCal Regionals 2020, and April Annihilation 2020. So.
Wow.
Those are all qualifying events for Capcom Pro Tour.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you just got to play it safe. I know a lot of people who were probably looking forward to, and also I want to say that because of that, Brussels 2020 canceled the whole event. So they canceled their whole event. So
wow,
it's not just these big companies. Even events are canceling, like GDC, right?
Yes, GDC just got canceled.
Yeah.
Now, here's something that we want to talk about that actually not a lot of people are talking about is that it is affecting distribution for games that have already been made and probably will be made shortly. A prime example is Ring Fit for the Nintendo Switch. That is in short supply / nowhere to be found because it is manufactured in China, and they had already had a short supply to begin with because I don't think they expected it to sell as well. But now it's actually in high demand because of the short supply. So who knows?
You got that though, right?
I did. I did get it.
Have you
it's
used
a lot of
it
fun.
yet?
It's very cool. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I like it a lot. It's hardcore because there's so many squats. Too many squats. Hashtag too many squats.
All right.
But one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about that maybe we can talk about really quickly is the fact that we're in the precipice of this new console generation, and I think that this situation will delay the release of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One Series X.
I think so too.
And it's mostly because those consoles are manufactured in China.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things are happening right then and there. So I think this might take the timetable, take the timetable of these console releases back further than was expected.
Yeah. So a couple things here. This is one of the consequences of globalization.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of every country having their own industries take care of certain things, you have certain countries like China who dominate certain industries, and because of that. Because of a virus or even just conflicts between countries, you're basically setting yourself up for failure. And so, yes, we're seeing it play out right now with COVID-19. So, and also, let's be real, there's a limited amount of resources on the planet. The population keeps growing. Things like rare minerals that are used to make computer chips, RAM, stuff like that. I mean, you have waiting lists to get these items, and so look what happened with the Nintendo Mini.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yes.
And so yes, these newer systems over time might become harder and harder to manufacture, harder to ship out, and harder for gamers to get.
That's why they want people to move off-world. Off-world
No,
colonies,
it's true.
y'all.
That's why Elon Musk is pushing Mars. All right. Now, if you're going to Mars, we definitely need a good streaming service. So, but we'll get to that next.
They'll have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, they'll have Amazon
The Expanse.
Prime.
Watch it. Anyways, moving on.
So the last thing I wanted to say was I think this was probably one of the nails in the coffin for GDC. Was Blizzard dropped out. So that's a huge loss for that.
Because they need to work on their Warcraft 3 remaster.
That was in small print at the bottom of that tweet.
We have things to work on.
So next up, this is where like a lot of this episode we're gonna focus on the Xbox Series X. So this is a huge deal right now.
So they've unveiled their specs, but
Yeah.
we're still waiting on more solid information from the PlayStation 5 situation. And again, I think because of our prior conversation of the COVID-19 situation, that's probably delaying even just unveiling more info about that.
So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to briefly touch on the major features of this new console, and then we're going to go through each one and kind of talk about what they are and what we think if they're good or not.
Let's go.
So first of all, this one has 12 teraflops. It has variable rate shading, hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing, quick resume for multiple games, smart delivery, and then if you look down here, they have some latency input protocol now. So now that it's gonna pick the lowest latency for synchronizing your inputs with your display and controls.
Nice.
Improved HDMI and 120 frames support. And as well as
solid-state drive.
As a solid-state drive, backwards compatibility. I mean, this thing is packed full of features. So
backwards compatibility all the way back to the Xbox, as far as whatever is already backwards compatible.
Yeah, whatever's currently in the backwards compatible game library, those are all going to be backwards compatible.
And the reason being is that you can't just pick any game. It's because of its software emulation backwards compatibility. So they chose specific games to be included in that library rather than just have an original Xbox built into the system so you can go ahead and play those games.
Yeah, which Sony did for the PlayStation 3 when
originally.
They had their,
Yes. And that kind of failed a little hard.
It did.
I mean, mine did. I hated when I got that red ring.
I think it was overheating, right?
The blinking red light.
Yeah.
Is it the red or blue? I forget. But oh my god.
No. Xbox was the red ring of death.
Oh yes, there it is. But there's like the blinking red light. I think for Sony when the PlayStation 3 died. When mine died, it broke my heart.
It was an expensive console back then.
That too.
It was more than the Xbox.
It's not just that it was expensive, but it was like literally rare. Like to have hardware backwards compatibility between the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no.
For the PlayStation 3, pardon.
It is I still
he still has
knock on wood, mine's over there right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It still works, still plays PS2 and PS1 games.
It won't be there after this episode. I'm going to steal it.
So first off, let's cover the teraflops.
What are teraflops?
Okay, so teraflops are basically the graphical processing units. So that means that more teraflops equals more good. So you can actually
more flops, more graphics.
Because I know it's just a buzzword, but to put it in perspective, Xbox One X, that one I believe has 4 teraflops, maybe.
Yes.
So the Xbox Series X has 4 times the Xbox One X, and then the original Xbox,
Xbox One S.
Xbox One S, it has 8 times. I mean that's
impressive.
Yeah, actually, my math was off.
It's equivalent to. I mean, I don't even do math, man.
Yeah.
But it's equivalent to burst graphics on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah. But needless to say,
this is actually true.
It has way more graphical processing unit than the old Xbox One consoles and the new Xbox One console. So that's a big thing.
Yes.
I don't think Sony, obviously Nintendo, cannot match that. So I think
Nintendo's getting close. I'm kidding.
They're still not even at full HD. They're still at 9 something p.
They've got 6 teraflops on the Nintendo Mini. I'm kidding.
So next up,
the Switch Lite. There it is.
Yeah, the Switch Lite. Next up, you have the variable rate shading. So let me kind of discuss what it said in that article?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, we had to skip in the video. Variable rate shading is basically it's the ability to render the pixels and to focus your graphical processing power. It's basically spread even throughout the pixels right now. But the variable rate shading is going to allow them to focus graphic processing.
Is it collecting our volume? I don't see the volume going at all. Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. So it's going to allow them to focus processing power on certain pixels. So a good example would be like if you have an open field, which is easily rendered, they can focus on the characters and some of the back end part, and that way they can make loading times faster and they can prioritize graphic processing power. So that's one change there. It's going to basically mean more optimized games.
yes,
That's essentially what it is. Next up,
less waiting.
less waiting. Next up, you have a hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing. So basically, what that means is they're going to have some hardware in there that's going to assist with doing ray tracing. And all ray tracing does is it improves the lighting, and it also improves things like reflections in water and like accent lighting, like when light bounces off of certain surfaces, stuff like
God
that.
rays.
Yes. So it's gonna help with that. And so far we've only seen this.
God ray tracing? I'm kidding.
We've only seen this in PC right now.
Yes.
We haven't seen this in console yet. So they're the first ones bringing ray tracing to market. So the games are going to look more realistic. And then we have quick resume for multiple games. So could you explain what this means?
So quick resume, we already have it for just single games in terms of the PlayStation 4. When you go ahead and you're playing a game and then you press the PS button and it goes to the menu and you can go ahead and do things on the menu, and then go back to the game whenever you want. It allows you to soft pause the game.
Yeah.
Now, the Nintendo Switch does this as well, but when you want to go ahead and use another application, it requires you to close the previous application or the one that's on standby.
Yeah.
This will allow you to go ahead and have multiple applications on standby and pick and choose whichever you like to do or play.
Yeah.
And that's actually good because I will sometimes be playing a game and then put it on pause for a second or go to the main menu and want to do something else, but then it'll be like, hey, if you want to do something else,
You're going to lose your progress.
You're going to lose your progress in this other game, so you got to save. And it's like, oh, man, I got to go look for a save if the game doesn't have, like, auto-save enabled.
Yeah, yeah.
So this will allow you to do it from multiple applications, which is actually really cool.
Yeah. Now, my question to you is, will this affect games that the saving is a very integral feature in the playing, like Dark Souls? Because there's certain parts in that game where I wish I could snapshot it, go out, come back, and kind of replay it over again, because that game is like heavily focused on where you can save, when you can save. You have to basically fight in that game to get to your saves.
Yes.
So do you think it'll make an impact on games like that? And if so, what would be a solution to that?
That's so funny because I'm actually trying to recall what Dark Souls did in terms of that. Because, I mean, as far as I remember, they had a workaround within the game where you couldn't even pause it anyway. Even when you pressed it, I mean, enemies would still unless you were in a safe place, enemies would still find
the
you.
menu would come up, but you would still hear things going on in the background, which
because there's no pausing within the game as it is.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to recall, but I think it's going to be kind of like an MMO, like Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
You can play on the PlayStation 4. You press the button. The game's still running in the background. So on the server side, everything is still moving. And things will happen no matter what, even though you are soft paused out of it.
Okay.
So there is no real pausing of the game.
Okay.
I believe it's up to the developer in that case. But
it should be. At the minimum,
exactly.
It should be
That's
up
a
to
good
the
question.
developer. Yeah.
Because, I mean, Dark Souls, that's the kind of game where it's like, yeah, there is no pausing. Too bad.
Exactly. And so if you allowed this feature and the snapshot, let's say for the sake of this, they had a way to save the snapshot, persist it, even if you turned your console off.
Mm.
That you know what I mean?
Well, see, so
I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just saying.
that has already been done for games since the Wii U, actually.
Yeah.
For like old Nintendo games like Castlevania.
Yeah.
And I apologize, but this is the way that I beat Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, is that I was able to save state no matter where you were in the game. So I save stated before fighting Dracula because oh God, that fight.
But you see how it gives
but
you an advantage, right?
It does,
Yes,
an
yeah.
advantage that the original developers or the did not intend.
They did not intend that, yeah.
So I hope they, funny enough, even though I took advantage of it, I hope they do away with it because honestly, I do have it on the original NES,
Yeah.
and playing it on the original NES, oh my gosh, like you have to like know that game in and out going forward. Luckily, a password system would allow you to save like at the beginning of the level, but even then, it's a gauntlet to get all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I believe it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I hope that
So
we can't take advantage of it like that.
Yeah, so I think overall it's a good feature to have.
Yes.
But they should probably leave it up to developers whether to enable it for their game or not. If it's going to hurt the user experience that they intend.
Well, like I said, I think MMOs are the defining factor right there. Because, I mean, like, look at Phantasy Star Online 2 that's coming out on the Xbox One X. You can't pause that. It's an MMO.
Yeah, you can't pause it. Yeah. So back to that. So the other thing that they're saying is that there's smart delivery. So I wanted to
you can order pizza and Mountain Dew.
There's a Grubhub app built into the Xbox One X. So I'll kind of like touch on what smart delivery is. So smart delivery means that and this has already been confirmed with Cyberpunk 2077.
It's super exciting.
Yes. If you buy the game now for your Xbox One and you play it or whatever on your Xbox One, you're going to get the Xbox One version of the game. Now, if you buy the Series X when it comes out and you play Cyberpunk 2077, now you're going to get the Series X version on your the right version on the new console.
And it's because your account is connected to the game and you already own them.
Yes.
But here's my question in terms of that smart delivery. Does that mean that you still need the disc?
Probably, because that's probably how they're going to determine.
Because digitally is already it's covered.
Yeah.
But what about in terms of hard copies?
It might be a disc thing because they might say, hey,
that's smart. Because that way you don't play it on the Xbox One, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna just trade it in, get some money, get another game, and then be like, hey, I already owned it. The save state is in my file, my profile, whatever, and then you just get a digital delivery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be a way to cheat the system. No, that's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
Smart delivery.
Smart delivery. So I think that's a great feature because there's so many times where players don't want to wait till the next generation, but then they see a game come out and they're like, why? I know this is going to come out on the next generation. Why am I buying it now? Well, because they want to play it now.
Not just that, but it's also consumer friendly. Because here's a prime example: PlayStation 3, The Last of Us. Last of Us.
That was the first game in my head because I bought it for PS3, and then it immediately came out on the PS4, and I was like,
because it was one of the last games to come out on the PlayStation.
Yeah, but it bothered me because I was like, I want the PS4 version,
Yeah, no, of course. It came out late in the cycle of the PlayStation 3, pardon. But that and Square Enix, I love Square Enix to death, but they double dip like crazy. Double, triple, quadruple dip. And that'll stop that vicious cycle of kind of taking advantage of the consumer.
At least with certain games that are, you know what I mean? At least with certain games towards the end of a life cycle.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, we'll see how it happens going forward, and especially if all developers, play with this.
Yeah.
Because is this something that is just like hardware end that it'll be like, hey, don't worry, Xbox One games will work on the Xbox One X, and then like PlayStation 4/5 doesn't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how's Sony going to respond to this?
Well,
Or is this a developer type thing?
I don't know. It's probably both. The developers probably have to work within the platform to make it work. But here's the thing. Sony,
it'll stop the double dips.
It'll stop the double dips for certain games at least. It won't stop like obviously remastered
Or
and
complete editions.
yeah, or complete editions
because of DLC.
but it'll stop some double dipping, which I'm all for, because we buy enough games as it is.
Yes. Sometimes multiple copies.
Yes. Yeah. Look, Microsoft is being very forward thinking, and they're smart because they're putting all this out there now, and so Sony's not going to have an excuse when they come out and they're not delivering a bunch of these features as well.
This is the beauty of competition.
Yeah, this is the beauty of competition. So Sony, now they're put on the defensive because first of all, they haven't released much at all except for,
let alone a price.
Yeah, they've released a logo. So they're kind of on the defensive now. But so that brings us up to the next point I want to make. You had told me that Microsoft as a whole said, hey, we're not even worried about PlayStation. We're not even worried about
Phil
the
Spencer.
Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, he said that his competition isn't Nintendo or Sony, that it's Amazon and Google Stadia.
Yeah.
That the future is digital, it's streaming, and that's what they're looking for towards. But I'd say that is both far and nearsighted.
Yes.
Only in that they don't have exclusives, man.
Yeah. So let's get to that. So the issue is, and you had asked me, what will it take for me to switch over to the Series X?
Oh, so let's preface this real quick, because what happens is that Geo did own an Xbox One S, and I mean it was an easy 4K system, so you can go ahead and play 4K movies on your sweet new 4K TV,
and that's why I got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you traded it in.
No, I sold it.
You sold it, pardon?
On the street in the back of a truck. No, I'm kidding. I sold it to a friend, but he asked me straight up. He's like, "Can I buy your Xbox One?" I was like, "Here." I had no qualms about it, and the reason why is because look, at the end of the day, it's what titles you have, and Microsoft just hasn't been able to pull in the titles. I don't know what Sony is doing, but they have exclusives. Yes, they're getting some of the best exclusives.
So here's the thing. I loved in the previous generation, I loved the Xbox 360 over the PS3.
That was
in general, the Xbox 360 was easier to develop for, and developers took advantage of that.
And it was easier to just play. Their UI was better. The features
internet
were better.
Was better too.
The internet was better. Everything about it was better.
So going into this console generation, I was disappointed that the Xbox One hasn't held its own. But I do own both. I do the Xbox One X and a PS4 Pro, and third-party games in general, I'd say 85% of the time work best on the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Hands down. So I tend to get my third-party titles for the Xbox One X. But PS4 Pro, I do like, and nowadays I'd say that the online is comparable.
Yeah.
I'd say the online is comparable.
But they have had a lot of online issues in the past.
Yes, a lot of, but I'd say the leg up that Xbox One X has over the PS4 is Game Pass.
Yeah, so let's explain what Game Pass is.
So Game Pass is pretty much the digital library of Xbox One, Xbox 360, and Xbox games available as a subscription service through Microsoft Xbox, and that it costs $1 a month. And they constantly have new titles being released for it. Nintendo Switch is trying to do something akin to this, but they only have NES and Super NES games.
Yeah, theirs is a little clunky.
It's very clunky.
They have to work on it.
While Game Pass is being competitive in having current generation games available, as well as exclusive, like first day of games available, like off the bat.
Yeah.
One of the examples was Sea of Thieves. I believe that was available off the bat when it first was released.
Yes, it was.
For Game Pass, which was like a selling point, kind of.
Yeah.
And especially at such a low barrier of entry for $1.
Yeah.
It pays for itself with how many games you have accessible to you and how many you can play.
And they have announced that they're releasing the new Halo on Game Pass.
Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Correct.
So every once in a while, they're going to throw a major title at Game Pass owners, and that's awesome. Yeah. And here's the thing. So the reason why I'm not going to get a Series X right now is because they make all this available on PC, and I have a great gaming rig, and
it's a good architecture or infrastructure. Pardon.
But they might get my money for the subscription service. Probably I'll need a gold membership as well, most likely, and then Game Pass on top of that.
Yeah.
So, but for that, I can just use my PC as my Xbox console, and then I can, get a new Sony for the releases. I mean, things are definitely moving in different directions for these companies.
Yes.
And I think that's fine. I think they're all playing to their strong points.
Yeah, exactly. Like Nintendo is nowhere near graphically competitive with the PlayStation 4.
They haven't even
and
reached
the-
1080p yet.
and the Xbox
They
One
haven't
X.
even reached 1080p.
But at the same time, they are not to be trifled with.
Because their
They've got
library.
an incredible library of games,
It
and
all
their
comes
third-party
down.
support has been so impressive this generation.
It all
Unlike
comes down
Wii
to
U
library. Yeah.
and GameCube.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a renaissance for Nintendo. This is like going closer to the Wii days,
Yeah.
but not as bad as
No.
like not so much shovelware has been put on the Switch.
Yeah.
Except for the online, the eShop has been getting a lot of shovelware. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't think of it that way, because
Yeah.
the eShop is being inundated with like a lot of shovelware.
Which is fine because that gives
okay.
individual developers a chance to get in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, Project GG A Go.
Yes. Platinum Games.
So yeah, explain this to everyone. What?
So Project GG, it is the second title being unveiled for the Platinum 4. Platinum Games said that they are going to be releasing 4 new games coming out, and they have a website, making a big deal about this. I mean, if you know Platinum Games, they've made Bayonetta, they've made Vanquish, which both of those games just came out in a 10th anniversary edition on the Xbox One X and PlayStation 4. They also made Astral Chain most recently on the Nintendo Switch, which I loved. I gave Geo it as a Christmas gift.
Yep.
And have you beaten it yet?
No, not yet.
Disappointing. Bayonetta 3 is going to come out for the Nintendo Switch shortly, but as far as these 4 games, they just unveiled. The first one was Wonderful 101 Remaster. That's coming out on the Nintendo Switch in April, as well as they have a Kickstarter, so it's coming out on the Xbox One X as well as the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Now, Project GG is the second game in this Platinum 4 and the third game for Hideki Kamiya's Hero trilogy of games. Hideki Kamiya is the director of the game. He made Beautiful Joe, which was like a Kamen Rider type superhero game, and then Wonderful 101, which was the first one, and that was more like a team-based superhero game, kind of like Power Rangers. And then this one is Project GG. We haven't seen much unveiled for it except for some images.
And I just want to point out that is a placeholder title.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's not the actual title of the game.
And that this is more of like an Ultraman type take on the Hero series with like large scale battles against, it looks like kaiju.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If you look at these images, first of all, I don't know what's going on with the Shiba Inu, but it's cool. I like Shiba Inus. They're pretty cool dogs.
Yeah.
But it looks like Ultraman.
Yes.
It looks like Ultraman. And over here, you can see the kaiju-looking creature.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely going for like a big,
large
scale battles type game, which is cool.
And I'm a big Platinum fan, and they have like my full support. Like I love their games, especially when they were before that, when they were Clover, when they worked with Capcom. Like I loved God Hand.
Yeah.
And they made Okami. They were behind Okami.
And let's just say that the reason that they're doing what Kojima did, they're trying to build their own creative vision because, like you said, they have put out some games in the past where they were paid to make them, and the love wasn't there because
Legend of Korra.
Yeah, they just didn't want to do it.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutants in Manhattan. But Transformers Devastation is actually a lot of fun. Transformers Devastation, pardon.
Okay, yeah.
But this game is being developed and published in-house,
In-house,
which is huge because it is a financial risk for them if they don't succeed.
Yeah.
But also, they have freedom, creatively speaking, to create the game that they want to without any kind of interference from a publisher. Pardon.
Yeah, and one of the biggest issues I read on that page was that they felt that they had a bunch of great old titles that they were no longer entitled to say anything about.
Yes,
they weren't.
They don't have control over.
They have
the
no
title.
control over it. They're not allowed to port it. They're not allowed to remaster it.
Which is why this is so special for Wonderful
Yes.
101
Yeah.
to be coming to other consoles. Like, they don't have ownership over Scalebound, which is probably one of the more high-profile titles that was canceled that they were working on for the Xbox One, which was
Yeah.
an exclusive. Xbox One exclusive. But, they even stated Nier Automata.
Yeah.
They love that game. They developed it. They developed the crap out of it. It's one of my favorite games. I love that game. But it's not like they can go ahead and just go into that universe whenever they want.
Yeah.
It's owned by Square Enix. And so this is something that they have complete ownership over, which we'll see how that goes. But I mean, I'm excited. I want to see what they do.
I want to see more smaller studios head in this direction, and I want them to succeed.
Yes.
So,
So support them.
yes, support them. So finally, we have Resident Evil 3 demo was announced.
Yeah.
So this is probably going to be similar to Resident Evil 2 demo. It's probably going to be a time release.
You need to play Resident Evil 2, Geo.
I need to beat it.
Beat it, bro.
Yeah. And then finally, we have some new releases. So let's talk about what we're looking forward to coming up.
Okay. I know this upcoming week, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus is coming out stateside. You already made a review for it.
I made a review. I'm gonna link it at the ending scene. I tried really hard. It is a Japanese version, but I think I nailed the gameplay. So check that out. We have Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and then so the titles that I'm looking forward to are Nioh 2.
Ooh.
And I don't know why, but I don't.
Right there, that list. Langrisser 1 and 2. I already pre-ordered that. I'm excited for that. That is a remake or a remaster of the old War Song game from the Sega Genesis.
Really?
Yes. It's a strategy RPG remake of this title called War Song. Incredibly rare on the Sega Genesis. Like, you can barely find it. And it's actually kind of expensive. It's like I think in the hundreds right now to find. But I'm excited for that. That looks awesome.
Okay, let me write this down. War Song. I'm a Genesis collector.
Yeah, no, of course. If I could find it, I would. Or afford it, pardon. And then, what's it called? In that list that we saw, Nioh 2. Definitely want Nioh 2. And then, I don't see it on there. Doom Eternal.
Yeah, Doom Eternal. That's a big game coming out. So...
and then Persona 5 Royal coming on the PlayStation 4. Yeah. I wish that would come on the Switch. Yeah. # break free Persona. And then Ys Memories of Celceta.
Yeah, so explain that. What is that
Ys
game?
Memories of Celceta is a Japanese RPG from the long-storied Ys franchise developed by Falcom. It's a fast-paced action RPG. Lots of fun. You play as 3 different characters in it with like lots of special moves. It's very snappy gameplay. And it's a very colorful world. It's a remake of an old game on the Sega Genesis and funny enough, another remake, Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, Ys 3, I believe. Okay. And it originally came out, Ys Memories of Celceta, on the PlayStation Vita. It's being remade for the PlayStation 4. So graphically, it might not be as impressive, but gameplay, snappy, fun, very cool, old school fun.
Okay.
So highly suggest it.
So yeah, there we have it. For me, I'm going to be focusing on Nioh 2 and Doom Eternal. And I'm going to be putting out a review for Doom Eternal.
Awesome.
Maybe Nioh 2, depending how hard the game is.
Did you ever beat Nioh 1?
No.
Oh, I love Nioh 1. It was so good. No, I'm excited for Nioh 2.
And I know that I'm going to like it because it falls into the realm of like the Dark Souls type games.
Kind of. It's got enough Tecmo in it to be incredibly different, mostly because of the loadouts and
but the genre is similar, right?
The weapon styles, in terms of being a very difficult game.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the action in it, it's not as strictly methodical as Dark Souls.
Okay. More
like
flexible.
Definitely more flexible.
More like Dragon's Dogma.
I was going to say more like Ninja Gaiden.
Okay.
Ninja Gaiden. Right. If anything, I'd akin this to this current generation's Onimusha.
Oh, okay, all right. And I'm a huge Onimusha fan.
Yes.
So yeah, there you have it. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next time.
Take care.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think about the Xbox Series X. Are you impressed by the stats? Are you planning on getting it? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you all next time.